Okay, so this is a combined video from all three of my beginner guides for each C on Blox routes. Now, I'm going to put timestamps up on the screen right now. If you're already in the second or third C, you can just skip to it really quickly. But if you watch this video throughout the entire thing, you'll be able to pretty much learn how to play this entire game. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Alrighty everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to complete the first C the most efficient way possible. Everything that you'll ever need to know about this game in the first C. I'm going to teach you all of it. Every little secret NPC, every little boss, every little island, every weapon, all of it. I'm going to teach you how to do everything. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is when you start the game, either on the Pirate Island or the Marine Starter. I highly recommend doing the Pirate Starter. I think that's just the most common one everyone does. So if you want to follow along with this video perfectly, then I'd recommend just starting as a pirate because it will be very, very useful. Alrighty, so the starting island is pretty straightforward. It's just a couple bandits that you gotta kill. It's very, very easy. There's not a whole lot to it. All I would recommend doing is just grouping them all up together like this. You have so much health that these guys pretty much won't be able to kill you. And once you group them all together, just beat them up. Very easy. Use your abilities. They're not going to do a lot of damage to you. They are quite weak. So this is what I recommend doing. Alright, after you've killed those ones, you can just run over here quickly and kind of do the same thing. But you only need to group two up because you're only completing the quest. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, so pretty much you just want to rinse and repeat that same thing up until you get to the next island. You'll know that you get to the next island because this little buzzer will flick and it will tell you, hey, you need to move on. As for stat points right now, guys, I recommend just pumping everything you have into melee, as it's going to always be a very, very crucial stat to begin with. Alrighty, so once you've reached the jungle island, then you get to begin the second quest, which is very, very simple. All you have to do is run over here and beat up some monkeys. Okay, so the monkey quest is really, really bad. It's actually a horrible quest to have because they're all like kind of spread out. So you have to beat them all individually. So for now, I just recommend running around and beating them up until you're able to move on to the gorilla quest, which is the next quest. Okay, at this stage, you should only have to do the monkey quest once. And once you do it once, you should hopefully be able to get level 15, and then you'll be able to run over to this guy once again and start farming the gorillas. The gorillas are a lot easier because they are way, way better because they're just all grouped together, so you can group them up and then kill them all together. And they're just over on this second island over here. Now, because you don't have a devil fruit yet, you can just swim across with no issues. You won't drown or anything like that. And then you just want to kind of group them up like this. It's very simple. You just kind of punch them and then run them over together. I wouldn't recommend grouping any more than 3 up because they can be quite difficult to deal with. Okay, so the next really important thing you need to do over in the jungle is step on these buttons. Now, these buttons light up. There's one right here where the gorillas are. It's right on the end of the island. As you can see here, I can zoom out real fast so you can see it. And the next one is just over here. Next one is just up on this tree right here. The next one is up on this kind of stone building where the Blox fruit gacha guy is, if I can get up there. Yeah, you just want to come up to here, and then you want to jump up over here, and it's just sitting here right there. The next one is wherever the boat dealer is. You can kind of see Middletown just there. If you just want to run over here, you can see the stone building where you got the other button. It's just over on this tree here. You have to jump for it. There you go. And the next button after that is over here, just hidden in the grass. I'll kind of zoom out so you can see it's next to the stone bit. You just want to click it right there. Now, you might be wondering why we've just gone and done the button quest. Well, it's very, very simple. It's going to be really useful later on when we want to go grab the saber sword and also observation Hucky. Okay, so once you reach level 20, you'll be able to fight your first boss in the game, who is the Gorilla King. Now, this guy's a pretty easy boss to beat. You only have to worry about one attack. He'll kind of bend over and start punching the ground, and he'll create shockwaves that you just kind of have to get away from. If you've got a lot of energy, it won't be too hard because you can dash away from him pretty easily. Just try not to get hit too much. Okay, that's the ability there. Now, you can be like pretty reasonably close, as you can see, but you just don't want to get close to it because if you do, you'll probably get one shot if you don't have any defense. Okay, so once you beat the boss, I highly recommend just going back and farming the regular old gorillas over here until you get high enough to go to the next island. And I still recommend just pumping everything you have into melee, and whenever the Gorilla King spawns, you can just refight him over and over because he gives you quite a lot of levels. So, I'll see you guys in the next island. Okay, so you finally reached the pirate village once you've hit level 30. So what is there about the pirate village that you might need to know? Well, the first thing I'd probably like to indicate is that you can buy your first fighting style here. Now, it's hidden behind this little door here. You just walk through here and you can talk to the Dark Step teacher. Now, it does cost $150,000, so you're probably not going to have the money for that, but do not fret, because it is just important for you guys to know that if you want a new fighting style that isn't the basic old crappy combat, then the cheapest one to buy is that Dark Step. Now, it does cost you a lot, but I highly recommend not buying Dark Step, as I don't personally think it's very good for grinding. Now, at this point you have 0 defense, but I still recommend not putting any points into defense, as learning the mechanics and learning how to not be hit in the game is very, very important, and it will help you out in the long run. But don't worry, because we will start putting points into defense later on in this video. Okay, so I recommend, if you're farming these guys, the best thing to do is just group them up like you would any other NPC, group them all together like this, and then just start beating on them when they're in a group. And you just want to continue to kill those guys until you are level 40 and you can move on to the next enemy. Alrighty, so once you hit level 40, your next enemy to fight will be the brutes. So what you want to do is you want to come over to the Pirate Adventurer, grab the brute quest, accept it, and then follow me. And as you can see, all the brutes are kind of just lined up along this way. Now, they do use an iron mace and they do slam the ground, so you need to be a little bit careful when fighting them. And they do a lot more damage normally, but you can see there, he just used the ability. Now, you just want to farm these guys until you are level 50. Once you get level 50, you can finally get your first ever devil fruit, so we'll get into that once you hit level 50. Alright, so once you've hit level 50, you need to come back over to the jungle island and come up to the top part of this stone platform, and you need to go across to the Blox fruit gacha. Now, this guy is going to give you a random Blox fruit every 2 hours if you pay him. Now, the thing you're looking for is a Logia fruit. If you're able to get a Logia fruit, then that is perfect. So I'm going to buy a fruit right here. Unfortunately, I was only able to get a chop fruit, which is very unfortunate, but whatever fruit you get, I highly recommend just eating it anyway, because it's going to be better than having nothing. Now, if you're wondering which types of fruits are Logia fruits, I'm going to pop them up on screen right now so you can see all the different types of Logia fruits. If you get one of those fruits, you're extremely lucky, and I'll tell you why. When you have a Logia fruit equipped and you've eaten it, then when an enemy tries to attack you that is lower level than you, then that enemy will not be able to physically deal any damage to you. As you can tell, that is extremely overpowered for grinding, and it means you won't take any damage whatsoever unless they are higher level than you. Now, if you're super lucky, you might get your hands on a Buddha fruit. Now, Buddha fruit is the best fruit for grinding in the entire game throughout all the different seas, so I highly recommend, if you get this fruit, eat it straight away. I'm going to pop on the screen what a Buddha fruit looks like, just so you guys know which fruit it is. Now, if you're really unlucky like me and you got a really bad fruit like I did, like the chop fruit, the spike fruit, the kilo fruit, or anything like that, don't worry, because you'll be able to get another fruit in 2 hours, and if you're that impatient, I can show you another way to get another fruit. Alright, so if you want to get another fruit, then I highly recommend coming over to the Blox fruit dealer on the starter island, where you started the game. So if you come and speak to this guy, he will sell you different fruits. As you can see, now they're not always in stock, so the fruit you might want isn't always in stock, and they restock every 3.5 hours or so. As you can see, there's no good fruits really in stock here for me right now. There's only a couple bad ones. Now, if you're looking for a good fruit to get and buy from these guys, as long as it has the elemental tag underneath the name of the fruit, then I highly recommend buying it. So, as you can see here, smoke, flame, ice, sand, dark, light, magma, rumble, blizzard, dough. Now, for whatever reason, if you ever see Buddha in stock, I highly recommend getting that immediately, because as I said before, Buddha is the best fruit for grinding levels. Alright, so once you hit level 55, you'll be able to take on Buggy the Clown, so he's a pretty easy fight. Like, he's not really that hard to kill, to be honest. All you gotta do is kind of just avoid his sword. He will do one attack that kind of like is like a massive like slash at you, like that. As you can see, that's pretty much all he does. The rest is pretty straightforward. You just gotta beat him up. Right, here we go. So we beat him. It wasn't that hard. Now he actually does have 2 abilities. I completely forgot about the second one. He'll like detach all his limbs and then like do a spin attack. That's really weird. He doesn't do it very often though, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Anyway, so now you're just gonna continue farming the brutes and Buggy until you are level 60, and then you can move on to the desert island. Okay, so you made it to the desert island, congratulations. Now, you are level 60, so I highly recommend farming here, just these guys right here, until you are level 90. I wouldn't worry about the other people, the other NPCs that are located all the way over there, because it simply just takes way too long to get in between quests at this level, because you don't have a lot of energy to dash around. I highly recommend just farming these guys, as they're super easy to farm. Now, you can farm these guys however you want. I personally like to just punch them and then gather them all together like normal. Now, for me personally, these guys are really easy to beat because I have the chop fruit, which means any sword user can't actually hit me. So I've got kind of an unfair advantage here. If you've got a low gear fruit, it's going to be the same for you. But if you don't, you're going to have to unfortunately dodge their attacks. So I wish you luck, but for all those people that got really unlucky like me and got a chop fruit, it's the one time we're actually going to be useful. Okay, so I forgot to mention that you should probably start putting a little bit of points into defense. Just a little bit. I recommend just putting enough to get 300 health or so. Now, you'll be putting more into this later on in the game, but at the moment it's just really important to get 300 HP. Now, obviously, you want to stop putting points into energy at this point if you're using your Blox fruit. Like, if you're using a fruit that is really OP at doing damage, like ice fruit, or if you're using light fruit, or one of the other fruits that you're using over just your regular combat, then pretty much what you want to do is get your energy to 1,000 and then just dump the rest of it into the Blox fruit stat. Now, obviously for me, because I got the chop fruit, I'm not going to do that, and probably for a lot of you guys, you're not going to do that either. Only do it if your fruit has some sort of weapon or melee, like the ice and light fruit. I'm actually not quite sure if any other fruits do have that melee, but I personally don't recommend using any swords or anything like that. At the moment, you can wait until the second sea when you can start getting the really good swords like True Triple Katana. Okay, so we are now at the Frozen Village, and this is really, really important, guys. You need to go and get Haki, Flash Step, and the extra jump ability. So what you want to do is you want to head over here to this side of the island, kind of over to where I am, and then you just want to come up on here, and then there's a cave that you can enter here. You want to run over to the ability teacher and just learn every single ability he has to offer. Now, the most important is probably Aura, which is 25,000. The second most important is Air Jump, which is only 10,000. And the third most important is Flash Step. Honestly, you can completely skip Flash Step, but I just recommend learning it anyway because it's going to be really useful later on. So, if you guys want to know how to use the abilities, you hit J to use your Haki, which is your armament. You want to use R to Flash Step, and you just want to jump normally to use your extra jump like that. Very simple stuff. Okay, as for quests here in this area, you want to click onto the quest villager guy and just do the snow bandit quest. Don't worry about the snowman quest, because if you come up on here, they're really far and they're really spread out, and it's kind of annoying to group them all together. But with the snow bandits, it's super easy to group them up. All you have to do is just come up here. These guys once again can't hit me because I've got the chop fruit and I'm immune to swords. So you just group them up like this. Really, really easy stuff, and then you can kind of just beat them all up like normal. You pretty much want to do that until level 110, where you'll be able to fight the Yeti boss at that point. Alright, so I'll be back when I'm at level 110. Alrighty, so now we're going to fight the Yeti. Now, the Yeti boss is very, very easy to beat. It's pretty much just the same boss as the Gorilla King. He's kind of just a buffed up version of that. He will slam the ground, it will have a bigger range. So you just want to kind of be careful, bait him around. It's pretty easy to beat him, in my opinion. I don't think he's a very difficult boss to beat. As you can see there, that is the slam attack. It's pretty much the same as the Gorilla King. I think it has a slightly higher range, but I'm not quite sure, and that is why you put points into defense. There we go. Okay, we did it. So the Yeti guy is pretty easy to beat. Like, honestly, I wouldn't fret too much with him. He's pretty simple. Okay, so pretty much what you're going to do is you're just going to keep farming the Yeti boss, the snow bandits, until you are level 120, and that's when you'll be able to move across to the marine fortress area, and it's also where you'll be able to get your first accessory, which will help you with your stats. Alright, so at this point, you've just hit Marine Fortress at level 120, so what you're going to do is you're going to come right to the end of the port kind of bay area, and you want to jump onto this house up here, and then you want to jump onto this tower over here. And you just want to kind of go inside the tower and come down this little hole over here, and you want to buy the black cape from this guy. Now, the black cape is a pretty solid accessory, gives you a little bit of health, gives you some energy, and also gives you 5% damage increase to anything that you're using. This is why I always get the black cape over the white cape that the Admiral drops, purely because it's more universal, even though it's a little bit less damage. So as for farming these guys, it's pretty straightforward. I recommend just kind of grouping them up by threes. You can group them up here, and then you can come straight over here and group this guy. Very, very easy. Again, because of the chop fruit, I don't have to worry about swords. Pretty useful fruit for the time being. It starts to kind of suck later on, but it's pretty good for now. There we go, just like that. Now, if you want, you can group up all 4 of them. It just takes a little bit longer, so I personally recommend not doing it. But if you want to do that, it's completely up to you. Anyway, I will see you guys when we are level 130. Okay, at this stage, you probably have got your own idea where you need your stats to go. So I'm going to let you guys go and do whatever stats you feel like you need. If you need more defense, put some more points into defense. If you feel like you're not doing enough damage, put some more points into damage, whatever your damage type is. Now, I personally highly recommend never put any of your stats into sword or gun in the first C. Don't worry, you can always change this later down the line as you can get stat resets, but I highly recommend just not doing it, as it will save you a lot of time and a lot of stress. I personally wouldn't recommend using swords in the first C. I don't think they're very good. We will be getting our next fighting style very soon, so you're going to want to save up for 500,000, which is going to take you a little bit, but it won't take you as long as you might think. Okay, so now we're going to start fighting the boss. So the Admiral here is pretty easy to beat. He's not a very difficult boss as long as you just kind of know what he does. He pretty much does one attack over and over again, and that's about it. So we'll get into that fight right now. A quick tip that I want to give you guys before we get into this fight is if you're looking for bosses and you can't seem to find them, I recommend just clicking up on the server tab here and then hopping to another server to find the boss, because good chances are they're going to be spawned already. Alright, so here the Vice Admiral is. Now, he's not a difficult boss to fight. The only things that you really need to be worried about is his sword dash attack. And you just want to avoid getting a little bit too close to him, as those swords do a lot of damage to you. So I'll wait for the sword attack to come out. There it is. It's like a blue attack. All you have to do is worry about that, and then you're pretty much all good. And now you just want to kill him. Alright, there we go. So I just killed him. He's a pretty easy boss to beat, as I said. He's not that hard. If you do die against him, don't worry. You can just run back over and beat him up again. As long as you don't take too long, he won't regenerate his health. So, very, very easy. You pretty much just want to keep grinding here. The same thing you were doing with those NPCs. Just keep beating those guys up, and then fight the boss whenever he's respawned. And you just want to do that until you are level 150. Okay, so you've hit level 150, so you're up to the Sky Islands. Now, the Sky Islands are kind of annoying in my opinion. I don't really like them because it's kind of annoying to get around. So the first quest that you take from this guy are the Sky Bandits. Now, the problem with this quest is that they're below you, so they're on the actual island that is below you. As you can see, if I zoom out, you can see there, that island kind of below me. They are there, so it's kind of annoying to get down to them and then get back up to the quest. So what I recommend doing is I recommend setting your home here, so when you complete the quest, you're able to just teleport home like this, and then get the quest and then jump back down. It's going to be the fastest way to do it. Now, there's no super fast way of actually beating these guys. You kind of just group them up like any other NPC while we continue to save up 500,000 for the next fighting style. So pretty much what I would just do is I would just punch them. I just group them up like normal. Now, it's not that hard to group them, but it can be kind of annoying. And you just want to kill them just like that. No worries. Okay, so pretty much you want to keep doing that over and over again until you are level, I think, 175, and then you'll be able to move on. However, if you've got a low gear fruit, I recommend going until you're 177, so you don't get killed by the Sky Bandits, so your low gear fruit can save you. But if you don't have it, just get to 175 and then start doing the next quest. Alright, so time for the second quest now, which is I think the Dark Masters. Now, the Dark Masters are very easy to find. Again, I recommend just setting your home. They're just down on this island over here. They're pretty easy to farm too. They're not too bad. You kind of just run over and punch them. But my chop fruit won't work, so just group them all up together. They're pretty easy to group. And then you can just start beating them up like normal. Except this one kind of gets stuck sometimes, so you have to kind of run over here like that. But kind of just beat them up pretty normally. And as we can see, it's pretty easy. You just kind of group them up like that, and then you just kill them. So just continue doing that until I think you are level 190. So at this stage, you're getting very, very close to getting 500,000 as well, which is really good because we're going to need that for our next fighting style. So just keep farming up, and eventually you will get there, and eventually we should have 500,000 before we get to level 190, which is where we want to move on to the prison. Okay, so unfortunately I don't have enough money yet to buy the new fighting style, which is what I'm saving up for and what I recommend you guys buy as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over and just do some quests here. Now this area, the prison, does have 3 different bosses that spawn here: the Warden, the Chief Warden, and the Don Swan boss. So I highly recommend just farming here until you're a level like 210, I think, or until you have 500,000, that too. I should also mention that there's really no trick to gather these guys up. It's probably, the prison's one of the worst spots in the world to farm, honestly, in my opinion. I recommend just grabbing these guys like this and just kind of beating them up like that. There's nothing else you can really do. It's kind of a terrible spot to farm. Now, another thing I want to quickly show you guys is if you've eaten a devil fruit and you don't like that devil fruit and you don't want to get rid of it, but you don't have another devil fruit to get rid of it, then what you can do is you can head over to this guy who will remove your devil fruit for a price. Of course, you have to pay him quite a lot of money. It's like 50 grand. I recommend not doing this. I recommend just waiting until you get another devil fruit and just eat that one instead. Alrighty, so for the people that aren't using their Blox fruit as their main weapon, once you've got the 500,000, I recommend coming over to here, the Sky Islands once again. And what you want to do is you just want to come all the way over here, and you just want to come behind this little rock area to the Mad Scientist. Now this guy is going to teach you the electric fighting style, which will replace your normal combat, and it's a lot better. Trust me, the abilities are just a lot easier to beat bosses with, just makes it a lot easier for comboing, and just overall the damage is just way higher. Okay, so once you hit level 210, you're going to start doing the dangerous prisoner quest, which in my opinion is just as bad as the normal prisoner quest. It's really not very good. I recommend just honestly grouping 2 of them up like this. It is a little easier if you got the chop fruit now, because, you know, you won't get hit because they carry swords. But I highly recommend just doing that, and yeah, the mastery is going insane because I just got this. But yeah, pretty much just keep doing that over and over again until you get to level 220, which is when you can fight the first boss of the area. Okay, so once you've hit level 220, what you can do is head over to the head jailer, and you can speak about fighting the Warden. Now the Warden spawns over here. He's a pretty short cooldown. I think it's only like 5-10 minutes when he spawns. Now he's also not that hard to beat either. In my opinion, he's very simple to beat. You just kind of have to walk around him like this. There we go. So we beat him. Again, if you have electric, this is going to be really easy. Trust me, electric makes life a lot easier than the base combat style. So I'm just going to continue farming until I am level 230, and then we'll be able to fight the Chief Warden. Okay, so once the Chief Warden has spawned, what you can do is just beat him up too. Now he does a lot more damage, but again, he's not that hard to beat, so just be careful that he doesn't hit you, because if he does hit you, trust me, you're going to lose health very quickly. And just like this, he is now dead. So he's very easy to beat, as I said. Like, he's not really that hard to beat. And pretty much you just want to wait until you are level 240, and then you can start fighting Don Swan. Alright, so we're versing Mr. Swan. Now, he's not very hard to beat. He does have a couple of really strong AoE attacks that I highly recommend you watch out for. But apart from that, he's relatively easy to beat. And this electric tackle should finish him. There we go. It's over just like that. Very easy. So, yeah, pretty simple. Now you just want to head and just keep farming pretty much until you hit level, I think it's like level 250, I believe. Okay, so after that, pretty much what you want to do is just want to get to level 250 just by farming all the bosses and whatever else you can do in the meantime. Just get yourself to level 250 and then you can move on to the Colosseum area, which is a pretty basic area, pretty simple, nice and easy. So I'll see you guys once I'm over there. Okay, so next thing we need to cover is if you don't have a Logia fruit at this stage, you're in trouble because you're going to need one. You're hitting level 250 and you're going to need one soon. So if you haven't already gotten a Logia fruit from the random spin, you need to go and buy one from the Blox fruit dealer. So I've seen online, I've just gone and checked, and that currently he is selling Ice, which is a Logia fruit, for 350,000. So I'm going to save up for that. Okay, so I now have enough for the ice fruit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go buy that, and the reason I'm going to buy this one is just because it's purely an elemental fruit or a Logia fruit, and that's really good for grinding now. But I'm just going to use electric with ice now, so I don't actually have to worry about using this at all. I'm just going to continue to use my electric and just have the passive effect that the Logia gives me. As you can see there, I can't take any damage because I'm way higher level than this guy, so there we go. no issues there. So I think we'll be okay for now. And then what we're going to do is just keep grinding until I get to the next island, and then I'll teach you guys anything you need to know about the next island. Okay, so welcome to the Magma Village. Now, you got to be really careful here when you're farming these enemies, because when you're farming here, they have a 50% chance to spawn with Haki or aura. So what you might notice is if their hands have got like this black aura around them, that means even if you have a Logia fruit, they're still going to be able to hit you. Now, it is a 50% chance they spawn with it, so some of them don't have it. You need to start saving your money. You need to start saving up to 750,000, because soon we're going to go get observation Haki, or instinct as it's known in this game. So just keep saving up, and eventually we'll be able to afford it. Now, if you're not like me and you haven't had a lot of setbacks, you got a Logia fruit straight away and stuff like that, you might be close to getting observation Haki, but don't worry, it's not very important at the moment, so I wouldn't worry about it. Just go get it when I do, and yeah. Okay, so what I recommend is you just fight these guys normally, group them up as you've always been doing, and then you'll move up onto further up the mountain and you'll fight those guys. Now, do be a little bit careful when you fight the guys on top of the mountain, because they do have flash step, so they can kind of teleport right next to you without you expecting it. So just be a little bit careful. Okay, so the magma guy is the boss of this area. Now, he's not hard to beat. All you gotta watch out for is the magma fist. That's it right there. Now, he does have other abilities, but as long as you're not standing too close to him too often, he won't use them. So just kind of run away and you won't be hit at all. He's pretty easy to beat. He's probably one of the easier bosses in my opinion. And pretty much now you just want to go and continue farming the rest of the island until you are level 375, and then you can move on to the next area, which is the underwater fisherman area. Okay, so you're now at Fisherman Island, or the underground fisherman area. Now, the best way to farm the first guys is pretty simple, in my opinion, is just to kind of gather them up like so. Just kind of run over and grab them like this, and just beat them when they're in a group of 3. And then just move on to the next group. There we go. So I recommend getting through these guys pretty quickly, because they're kind of annoying, honestly, in my opinion. So you'll be able to get through the next guys once you hit level 400. I recommend farming these guys until you're level 406 though, so your Logia fruit can kick in when you're fighting the next guys. So it's kind of a pain to fight these guys when you don't have a Logia fruit, so I highly recommend just leveling up as quickly as you can just to get that Logia fruit up and running. Okay, so in case you didn't buy electric style, you can actually go in here and you can buy the water kung fu style, which is a very good style. It's probably one of the best in the game for the first sea. It's probably the best one in the first sea in my opinion, but it just takes way too long to get here. That's why I didn't recommend buying it, but it is still pretty good and nonetheless. So in case you haven't bought electric, I recommend going and get that, but I want to save up for the instinct, so I'm going to save up 750,000 for that, which we are on our way to getting. Okay, so farming these guys are pretty easy once you're level 407 and you have a Logia fruit. So if I come over to here, you can see this guy can't hit me because my Logia fruit. I recommend just grabbing them all together like this. Now, you might not know this, but there's actually a one hidden in here. He's kind of hidden in the little thing, so I recommend just grabbing 4 of them together like this, moving them together, and just killing them as simply like that. So it's pretty relatively easy. You just kind of want to rinse and repeat that strategy over and over again until you hit level 425, and that's when you can fight the boss. Alright, so I'm going to show you the best way to beat this final boss. It's really simple to beat this guy. You just want to aggravate him like that. Pretty much just get him to like get angry at you, then just kind of run over to a window like this. And once he comes all the way over to the window, you can just start smacking him through the window, and there's absolutely nothing this guy can do to you to even touch you. He has 2 forms, but that doesn't really matter to you because he can't touch you. Apart from when he does that. When he does that, it's kind of annoying, but like, I mean, it only happens like every once in a while, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. There you go, free kill. Probably one of the easiest bosses in the game to beat because you can just completely abuse and punch him through a window. So I will see you guys in the next area. Just continue to farm up like you were before until you reach the next area. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to come back to the jungle area now, because we're going to go and get Instinct, which is the observation Haki of Blox route. So what we're going to need to do, this is exactly why we did the puzzle before, just in case you guys are wondering. So what we're going to do is you're going to come down here, and you're going to come down into this little hole. I recommend hitting Control so you can actually get down the hole easier, and we're going to grab this torch. Now, once we've got this torch, you're going to head over to the desert island. Okay, so now that we're at the desert island, what we want to do is we want to head over to this broken down house just over here, and you just kind of walk through the door, and then you come down further and you just burn this door with the torch that you were given. Once the door disappears, you just want to walk through and grab the cup. And once you've got this cup, what you want to do is you want to head across to the frozen area where you got your aura and your flash step and all that stuff. Okay, so once we're here at the snow area, what we want to do is you want to head back inside that cave that we got all our stuff from before. And you want to go to this dripping icicle, and you want to fill the cup up like that. You can see it's filled because it has liquid in it now. And then you just want to jump all the way up to the top area, come across to this house that has the sword dealer next to it, and give this cup to the sick man. Okay, so once you've given the cup to the sick man, what you need to do is go back to the pirate village where you first got level 50 and where you were able to first get your fruit. Okay, so once you're at the pirate village, what you want to do is you want to head over to the left side of the map over here. And once you come over here, there will be a little NPC called the rich man. You want to go up to this rich man, and he'll pretty much tell you that he can't give you anything because there's this mob leader and he is extorting him. So you need to go beat up the mob leader, and that's very simple to do. Okay, so in order to kill the mob leader, you need to go to the island where the mob leader is located. So you can see this is the little plaza area, the main area for the pirate village. Now, if you just look across over there, you should be able to see the island where the mob leader is located. I'm sure if we dash a little bit closer to it, you probably see it a bit better. There you go. It's right in the distance there. You just need to head over there with a boat, and then you'll be able to go and kill the mob leader. Okay, this guy is relatively easy to kill. You don't really have to worry about it at this level. You should be able to just kind of kick his butt. After you've beaten the mob leader, what you need to do is speak to the rich man once again, and he'll pretty much just give you the relic. So once you got this relic, you want to head back over to the jungle. Okay, so once you've done that, what you want to do is you pretty much see this little keyhole in the wall here. This is the stone area where you got your fruit, and you just want to run over and open this up. And inside here, the boss Shanks or the Saber boss will spawn. Now, he's really easy to kill. He shouldn't be too difficult, but you might need to hop servers a little bit for him to spawn. He does have a long cooldown, so I highly recommend just hopping a server a couple times until you find him. Alright, so there he is. He spawned here. Now, the only thing that's really difficult about this guy is the fact that the room is very, very small. Apart from that, he's relatively easy to beat. As I said that, he just started stomping me. I will be back when he's dead. There we go. So we've just taken him out, and you will get the Saber Sword as a reward once you have killed him. But more importantly, we will now be able to go and get Observation Haki. Okay, so with that being said, it is now time for you guys to go and get Observation Haki. So how do you do that? Well, all you need to do is climb all the way up into those Sky Islands, all the way up there. Now, how do you do that exactly? Well, you just jump. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, follow me. This is how you do it. So you just kind of jump across onto these trees, and you can use your electric style as well to kind of get some distance if you need to. And you just pretty much want to run and follow my path here. Come into this temple area. There'll be this little arrow across into the corner. Jump down there, and you'll be teleported eventually when the game loads. There we go, and you'll be teleported up here where this massive tree is and these massive roots are. You pretty much just want to follow this route all the way along until you get to this like little temple area, and you want to go all the way to the top of the temple. Once in here, you'll be able to speak to the Instinct teacher, and he'll be able to teach you Instinct. Now, it's very easy. Costs a lot of money though to get, 750,000, and to use it, all you have to do is hit E, as you can see there. Now, first level, it is pretty weak, I must admit. You can get 4 dodges, and that's it. After that, it's run out completely, and it takes like 50 seconds between dodges to come back. But it's very useful when you're doing boss fights, because those little extra dodges do help you quite a lot. Anyway, let's get back to farming. Okay, so it's time to farm. Now, you're going to come back down to this teleporter where you teleported up to the top Sky Islands. This is where you're going to be farming the next area. Now, if you have a low gear fruit, you have to wait until you're level 458 before these enemies can't hit you anymore. So just bear that in mind. But it's pretty simple. Just group them all together and then kill them like you've been doing normally. And then you'll be able to move on to the next quest when you are at the right level. Okay, so the next area is very, very simple. You just want to gather them all up and just kill them like you've been doing. Your Logia fruit won't come into working until about level 483, so you just need to wait until then before you can't be touched. So just gather them up, kill them. It's very, very simple, and then move on to the boss once you've hit level 500. Okay, so this boss is pretty relatively easy. He's not hard to beat. The only thing you really need to be careful is the bazooka. It does a lot of damage. It will do, like, all your health in, like, 1 or 2 goes, so I recommend just trying to get around that. Obviously, now that you have Observation Hockey, I recommend using it, just because it will save you from a couple of those hits, as you can see there, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Other than that, good luck. And here we go, that should finish it nice and easily. Okay, so once you've done that, you just want to continue farming these guys over here again. Just keep farming those guys until you hit the next area, and then we'll move on, and I'll continue to talk about that. Okay, so the next area is pretty normal. You just want to kill these guys like you've been doing before. Now, you won't get your elemental fruit or your Logia fruit effect until level 535, so just keep that in mind. I recommend farming here until about level 560, even though the quest is not that high, but I recommend doing that so you can get your elemental fruit for the next section, so you can just go straight into it. These guys are super easy to farm because they're all relatively close. Group them up, kill them, easy work. Okay, so once you've gotten to 560 and you've reached the next area where your Logia has activated, as you can see, these guys cannot hit me, which is good. Logia is very useful. So I highly recommend just farming here until you are level 637. I know that's absolutely insane, and you might be like, why am I farming here for so long? Well, trust me on this one, the next area sucks. When you hit level 575, make sure you go and fight the Thunder God, who is located all the way at the end of the island over there. So you just keep following the bell in the tower, you'll find him. There's really not much to him. There's not much to really go over. Just kind of dodge his attacks, use your instincts, and just fight him like you've been fighting every other boss. And once you get to level 635, we'll check back in. Okay, so these gallery pirates are going to take you all the way to 700, so just farm them. Now, if you have a Logia fruit, then do not farm the captains that are all the way over there. I highly recommend not doing it because they can hit you even with an elemental fruit or a Logia fruit, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you do not have a Logia fruit at this stage, then I highly recommend you just farm the captains as well. But you can even ignore them if you realistically wanted to, because it does take a while to get from the quest guy all the way over there. But you're better off setting your home and doing it that way, because I feel like it's quicker. But again, I feel like it just takes way too long, so I wouldn't really recommend it. So just farm these guys, group them up together. It can be kind of annoying to group them, so group them best you can. What I recommend is killing this guy, running over, grouping these two guys together on this green patch, killing this guy, and then killing that guy, and then just go back and do the same thing. It's realistically pretty simple and not much to really go over. The boss of the area, who is the Cyborg boss, is... Now, the boss of the area, who is Frankie over here, is actually probably the hardest boss in the game. He has a couple abilities you need to watch out for. One is the bullet attack. He'll just spam bullets at you. It does a lot of damage and it comes at you pretty quickly. The second one is his farting ability. He farts on your face and it's a massive AoE damage. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's super annoying. So once you guys have reached level 700, what we'll do is we'll come back and we will do the quest. It's a pretty simple quest to get to the second sea, so I will be back. Okay, congratulations, you are now level 700 and you are ready for the second sea. So what you need to do is you need to come up to the military detective at the prison and you need to talk to this guy. He'll pretty much tell you that someone's escaped and you need to head over to the ice biome. Okay, first of all, I don't know why I called it the ice biome. This ain't Minecraft. The snow village is where you're meant to go. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go back into this cave again for like the third time. You want to use the key to open up this little lock, and then this admiral will be here waiting for you. What you want to do is you just want to bait him up real quick, and then he will tell you to go back to the prison. Okay, so once you've reached back to the prison, all you got to do is come up to the prison guy again, talk to him, and then he'll pretty much tell you that you need to go to Middletown to go talk to an experienced captain. Okay, so here we are. The experienced captain is behind me, so in order to find him, just come over to one of the docks on Middletown. Now, if there's 2 docks in Middletown, if he's not there on one, just go to the other one. Very simple. Pretty much all you need to do is just talk to him, and then you'll be in the second sea. Ta-da! Now you're in the second sea. Congratulations. If you guys want to see the whole of the second sea covered, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, so my first sea video did extremely well, so here we are making the guide to the second sea. Now, if you've never played Blox before, or you've just hit the second sea, this is going to be a perfect video for you, because we're going to cover everything you'll ever need to know about the second sea in one single video. So, let's get into it. Okay, so when you reach the second sea for the first time, the game will direct you to come over to this little farming area. Now, I highly recommend you don't farm these guys, as they use this really, really annoying ability. You'll see in a second here when this guy actually uses it on me. Alright, there you go. That was the ability. Now, that might not seem like that bad, but trust me, when you don't have Rabbit V3 and you're not running around really quickly, that is really, really annoying to dodge, and it also hurts a lot. So when you're farming these guys, it's just a pain. I highly recommend you just run back over to the first sea and go and farm the pirates like you were doing before. Okay, so when I say to go farm the pirates in the first sea, I mean these guys right here. Make sure you farm these guys until you're level 725 and ready to move on to the next set of enemies. Trust me, doing this is a lot faster. I do it for all my Noob to Pro videos. I've tested it before. Don't waste your time on the raiders at the second sea. Okay, so once you hit level 725, you can come over to this guy and take the mercenaries quest. Now, a lot of people will actually tell you to skip this quest, but there is actually a little bit of a trick to fighting these guys to make it a lot easier for yourself, and I'll show you that trick right now. So what you want to do is just grab them up like you would normally do with whatever fruit you're using. So you want to grab them, and I highly recommend jumping in the air, because they will use this ability that is like a ground slam, but it will not be able to hit you if you are in the air. I'll show you the ability when they hit me. As you can see, it's really annoying, but if you just keep in the air and use all your abilities, they physically can't do anything to you, and it's super easy. So just do that, and you'll be able to fly through these guys pretty quickly until you're at the next level. Okay, so once you've hit level 750, you can take the next quest, which is the diamond boss right here. Now, I will say though, this boss is a little out of the way. Unlike the first sea, a lot of the second sea bosses are kind of like out of the way and not near the NPCs. So I'm going to show you where this boss is, because you're probably going to have no idea. Alright, so just follow me. Okay, so he spawns here. Now, if you're playing in a public server, this guy is almost always dead, and you'll probably never ever find him. So, good luck. But he's actually pretty easy to kill. I mean, he's not that strong, to be completely honest with you. He doesn't drop anything really notable or anything worthy at all to really go and grab. So, there you go. He dropped the longsword. It's pretty bad. Doesn't really do anything. But he is good for XP if you can get him in a private server, or if you're lucky enough to find him in a public server. But other than that, just keep farming the regular mercenary NPCs until you hit the next level threshold. Okay, so once you've hit level 775, you can head over to the Swan Pirates, which is your next enemy. Now, again, I'm going to show you where these guys are because they are a little bit out of the way. So just follow me once again. There we go. Okay, so this is the quest marker for them right here. All you have to do is click the Swan Pirate and obviously go and fight these guys. Now, these guys are really easy. They're all grouped together. There's nothing really notable to talk about. They're not very strong at all. You can beat them up pretty quickly. So, all you have to do is keep farming those guys until you're about level 800. Okay, so once you're level 800, the questing's going to try and get you to fight the factory staff. Now, I highly recommend you just skip this one altogether. Do not fight these guys. Keep fighting the Swan Pirates until you're level 850. There's an exact reason for this. These guys over here are extremely spread out. They are super annoying to farm. So just don't even bother, honestly. Just keep fighting the Swan Pirates. It's not worth it. Okay, so once you hit level 850, this is where you can do the Colosseum quest. Now, this quest is really important because it opens up a bunch of different unlocks in the game. Also coincides with the quest you're currently doing, so I highly recommend you go and get it done. So, in order to get there, you have to go to Cafe first. Cafe is a really important part of the second sea. It's pretty much the trade hangout, or everyone's favorite hangout spot in the second sea. It's where all the players go, so follow me. Okay, so here we are. Now, this is the Blox fruit gacha right here. So, as you can see, this is where you go. Now, I highly recommend you are getting a fruit every 2 hours, because in order to get to the third sea, you are going to need a fruit that is worth 1 million berries. That is right. So these fruits on the screen right now are all worth over 1 million berries. You need at least one of these fruits in order to actually get yourself into the third sea. So just make sure you're spinning this as often as possible. Otherwise, you will be in trouble later on and it will slow down your progress massively. Okay, so at this stage, you're probably wondering what fruit is the best fruit to be using for the second sea. Well, it's really simple. The fruit that you want to use is the Buddha fruit. This fruit is going to be the fruit to use throughout the second and third sea. So I highly recommend you keep a watch out for the Buddha fruit right here, because this thing doesn't come in stock very often, but you'll need it badly. It's not that expensive. It's only 1.2 million to buy. You can buy it with Robux if you want. That's personally what I did as well. I just got it permanently because it makes life a lot easier. Now, you're probably wondering why this fruit is really good at farming, and I'll show you. Okay, so currently I'm using the Awakened Butterfruit, so it is a little bit better than what it should be, but if you come over here, you can see that my range for the swords is really, really high. I don't have to be near an enemy to actually kill them, which is really, really overpowered. This works too with fighting styles as well, punching enemies, hitting with a sword. Anything's going to be hyper ranged, and it's going to be really, really overpowered, which is why it's super good for farming. You also take 50% less damage while in the Buddha form as well, so it's super overpowered for farming, as you can imagine. Make sure you get your hands on the Buddha fruit, otherwise your progress is going to be extremely slow. Okay, so your next thing that you need to do is complete the Colosseum quest. You need to come up to this NPC right here and talk to him. He will pretty much tell you that you need to go and kill 50 of the swan pirates that you've just been killing before. Hence why I just recommend you go get Buddha fruit, because it is going to take a while otherwise. But again, not too difficult. There's a lot of these guys, so all you have to do is just kill 50 of these guys really quickly and then go back to that quest giver. Okay, so once you've gone back to the quest giver after defeating the 50 swan pirates, you just speak to the guy again and he will give you the next quest, and that is to go defeat Jeremy. Now, Jeremy is located at the tippity top of a mountain. I will show you where it is, just follow me. Okay, so here we are, Jeremy right here. Now, this guy is pretty easy to beat. He's not too difficult. He's very easy to dodge as well, so you shouldn't have too much of a hard time beating him. Again, if you have Buddha fruit, that's going to take about 2 seconds. Okay, so the next part is really simple. See that big old Colosseum over there in the distance? What you want to do is head towards that. Let's go. Okay, so once you've hit this little rabbit hole here, what you'll need to do is actually punch in the code. Now, the code is like these bunch of little things on the walls here. When you tap them, they will light up. They don't work for me, obviously, because I've done this quest already. So what you'll need to do is punch in the code on the screen right now. Just follow that order. Then the gates will open, and this will unlock. You'll get the warrior helmet accessory as well, which is kind of nice if you're using fighting styles. But otherwise, don't use it because it does actually reduce some of your stats. Anyway, once you've done that, head back to the cafe. Okay, so now that you're back at the cafe, you'll need to go and get Race V2. Now, Race V2 is the same for absolutely everyone, so you don't need to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the NPC, the Alchemist, who allows you to get the quest for Race V2. Let's go. Alright, so here it is. This is the Alchemist. This guy will allow you to get the Race V2 quest. So pretty much what you'll need to do is collect 3 different flowers. A blue flower, a yellow flower, and a red flower. Now, these flowers all spawn at different locations, and if you die, you will lose these flowers. If you jump servers, you will lose these flowers. So you need to do this in one shot. It's not hard to do, don't worry. Just avoid people and try not to be killed. If you're on a private server, this is even better. So let me show you where the red flower spawns first. Okay, so the first red flower spawn is right here at this little spot here. You can see the quest marker right here for the middle section of the green zone. It will just spawn right underneath here. So the red flower spawns at day, but it doesn't despawn it until someone picks it up, so it can still be there at nighttime, so don't worry. The next spawn point is right here. Now you can see the quest marker once again right over there. So you just want to walk over, and it spawns right behind this little rock thing, whatever you want to call that. Okay, so the next red flower spawns on top of this like little plateau of rocks up here. It'll just spawn right in the middle. You can see the bridge where you enter into the green zone and the cafe over here as well. Okay, so the next one spawns above on Don Swan's mansion. Now it's just above the cafe. It's really easy to find. Just get up there and come all the way to the front, and as you can see, the flower has spawned for me, so all I have to do is walk over it and grab it. It won't work though because I do not have the actual quest, so I can't grab it, but that is the second last spot where it spawns. Okay, so the next flower, the last and final spot for the red flower, will spawn in between these yellow and purple stairs and the red house. You can see where you come into the second sea over there, and that quest marker is for the mercenaries and raiders that you did before, so it just spawns right there, pretty easy to find as well. That is all the spots for the red flower, so you should have that flower by now. Okay, so for the blue flower, what you're going to need to do is make sure it is nighttime, because you cannot find it during the daytime. It actually despawns during day. So what you're going to need to do is come across to the starter area where you spawned in for the second sea, and come and get yourself a boat. Now, once you've gotten yourself a boat, what you're going to need to do is get onto that boat like me, and you just want to head over to this little island in the distance, so I'll just speed up the footage while I go over there. Okay, so once you've made it to this island, what you need to do is come over to this first spot, which is around about here. It's just right in the middle here. And the second spot is right through here between the two big rocks and the small rock. It will spawn around about here. Now, I recommend you come to this island first because it is the furthest away and it also has 2 spawns, which is nice. So now we're going to go across to the next area, which also has 2 spawns, but is a little bit closer, so it's not as bad to get there. Okay, so once you make it over to the graveyard island, what you need to do is come to near the quest tracker, walk over here, and there are 2 gravestones right here. One has writing, one doesn't, and the blue flower should spawn right here on top of this gravestone that doesn't have writing. The next spot is over here. Just follow the gravestones past here and come and jump down here, and it will spawn next to this tree that is at the bottom here. Okay, so in order to get your next flower spot, the last spot for the blue flower, you need to follow me across on your boat once again, across to this little island hidden away in the distance. Once you get to this island, what you need to do is come around the side. You'll see a little opening right here. And now you need to come up into this small little crack in the roof. It is a little bit hard to get into sometimes. I'm just an idiot. Let me get into it. All right, there we go. So once you get up here, it will spawn right over here in the corner. Now, it's obviously not there for me because it is currently daytime, so the flower has despawned. But if it's nighttime for you, the flower should be right there. Now, it's time for the golden flower. Let's go. Okay, so in order to get the golden flower, you have to kill enemies, and they just have a random chance of dropping it. Now, if you have the Buddha fruit and you have confidence in your actual ability of not dying, remember, dying will lose all your flowers, you can just head back over to the graveyard island and start farming these enemies right here. Now, there shouldn't be too many people on this island, so farming these enemies with the Buddha fruit is pretty easy. But if you want weaker enemies to fight, I highly recommend going back to the Swan Pirates. Just be careful of players killing you because they will be able to see you a little bit easier there, but these guys are a little bit stronger over here, so you might have a little bit more of a tough time actually beating them. Okay, so once you've gotten all 3 flowers, you've gotten the red flower, the blue flower, and you've gotten the yellow flower just by killing enemies and getting lucky, you can head back over to the Alchemist and unlock Race V2. Now, I'll put up all the Race V2 stats right now, what every race does and what every race gains from Race V2. So, without further ado, let's just head back and start leveling up once again. Okay, so at level 875, what you can come do is come across to the green zone. Now you can fight the Marine Lieutenants. These guys are pretty easy. There's not really much to cover with them. Just be careful of some of their abilities, and that's about it. It's really easy to fight these guys, especially if, again, you have the Buddha fruit. It is extremely easy to beat them. Not much to talk about. Let's move on. Okay, so the next enemies to fight are the Marine Captains right here at level 900. Now, you can skip these guys if you're using an Elemental fruit or a Logia fruit, because they do have aura, and it's kind of annoying to fight if you do have an Elemental fruit. So, I would recommend skipping those guys unless you have a Buddha fruit or another fruit that is really, really strong at farming, or you're just confident enough in your abilities to take them out. Whatever you want to do. Alright, so at level 925, you can take on the boss right there, and all you have to do to get to him is come over to this side over here. It's really easy to find. Now, this guy has like 2 main abilities. The first is Gravity Push. When you get close to him, he will use it. The second is the Meteor Rain. Now, you'll see them both in a second. I'll try to get him to activate it. Okay, that right there is the Gravity Push. Now, that can do quite a lot of damage. It's quite hard to avoid too, so you just want to be careful. And that right there is the Meteor Rain. Now, in order to avoid the Meteor Rain, you just run back as far as you can and it won't hit you. I didn't know that for the longest time, and this guy would bully the hell out of me because that Meteor Rain does a lot of damage. So just make sure you avoid it by running back as far as possible, and you won't get hit by a single meteor. Okay, so your next quest is at the Graveyard Island. You should already know where this area is because of the flower quest. Pretty much you just got to defeat these zombies. Now, these guys are really easy to beat. Just gather as many up as possible, and then you just kill them. Really simple. And then you can move on to the next quest. Okay, so the Vampire quest at level 975, just completely skip. Don't do it. They're too far apart, and they can also use Flash Step, which is really, really annoying. So just keep fighting these zombies until you are at the right level to move on to the next area. Okay, so once you hit level 1000, we're going to move on to the next area, and I'll show you where that is. Follow me. Alright, so here we are, we're at the Snow Giver quest. These guys are really, really easy to beat. All you have to do is just gather them up like these zombies, and then you just kill them like normal. Okay, so once you are level 1050, the game is going to recommend you take on the Winter Warriors. Now, I don't recommend you do these enemies unless you are using the Buddha Fruit, because if you're using an elemental fruit, they have 2 types of attacks that can actually hit you, which is really annoying. But if you have a Buddha fruit, then you can go ahead and start taking them on and kill them really, really easily. Okay, so now that you're level 1000, we're going to talk about something that you probably aren't ready for yet, but that you might be. So if you've gotten lucky enough to get a fruit that is 1 million berries, what you'll need to do is come over to this guy right here, Mr. Trevor. He is at Don Swan's mansion above the cafe, and pretty much you want to give this guy the 1 million berry fruit. Now, unfortunately, that means you will lose the fruit, but you actually need to do this in order to progress any further inside of Blox fruits. Trust me, this is really good. Once you give that guy the fruit, what you'll need to do is come down here, enter this little cabin thing here, and pretty much kill Don Swan. He's not too hard to beat. He's quite an easy boss to beat. He uses the spider fruit. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to show you how to beat him because he's just really easy, so don't stress too much. Once you've beaten him, pretty much what you want to do is follow me. And enter into this little cabin right here. Now, if you're not sure exactly where this little location is, sometimes it gets me. I'll show you. It's pretty much directly in line with the tree right there if you just follow right at the back. You can kind of see the outline here in the wall. Just walk through, and this guy will allow you to do the quest to get race number 3, which will unlock some crazy abilities for your race. Now, every race v3 is different. The quest is very different for everyone, so I'm going to go over them really briefly. Okay, so humans is pretty simple. All you have to do is kill this boss right here, Diamond. Once you've killed Diamond, you need to make your way over to Jeremy right here and kill him as well. And lastly, just kill the gravity boss over here again, and then you've completed the human race v3 quest, and you can go back and talk to the NPC. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about Rabbit's quest, and Rabbit's quest is pretty easy as well. All you have to do is go around the map and collect 30 different chests. Now, when you're doing this quest, I highly recommend you come over to the Kingdom of Roses part and go around the map and just collect the chests. This area has probably the most chests in the entirety of the second sea, located all in one group. Make sure when you're doing this quest, you don't leave the server because it will reset. Now, the chests respawn pretty quickly, like after 5 minutes or so. So just collect the chests, run around a little bit, and then collect a few more chests. Make sure you count them as well. It just makes it easier, and when you know you're done. Okay, so once you've done that, you can just head back over to the NPC and collect your race v3. Okay, so the next one we're going to be talking about is a Shark v3 race upgrade. Now, this one is actually really difficult, and you probably won't be able to do it at level 1000. So honestly, I'd recommend just getting back to farming, or just try, but it's really hard. Okay, in order to get race v3 for Shark, you need to kill a naturally spawned sea beast. So the best way to do this is get your boat and literally just spin in circles. You can do this by just going straight forward, spinning in circles, and then typing in your chat like that. And you don't even have to touch your keyboard and mouse anymore, and it will just spin in circle for you. Eventually, one of the raids, or like ship raids, or a natural sea beast will spawn, and you'll be able to kill it. Now, once again, if you are level 1000, this is going to suck because it's very difficult to kill a sea beast at level 1000. But once you've done that, you can just head back to the NPC and get your race v3 upgrade. Okay, so the next one is Angel. Now, I don't have to leave this little area to tell you what Angel does and how to get it. So Angel is really easy to get, honestly. All you have to do is kill another player who has the race. Now, this isn't that hard. You can just type in chat, does anyone else have Angel race? Can I please kill you? Someone might let you do it, or you can just run around near cafe, look for the wings on someone's back, and then follow them down, hunt them, and absolutely slaughter them. Once you've done that, all you have to do is come back to this guy right here and get your upgrade for race v3. Okay, so the next area that we're going to go to is the hot and cold island. You can see it over there in the distance next to the green thing, so let's make our way over there now. Okay, so there's a couple things that I can talk to you guys about the hot and cold area. The first area that you probably should know is this little helpful little tip area if you are upgrading all your fighting styles. Now, I recommend that you do this because it is pretty good. Most especially, I would recommend using Water Kung Fu. It's probably the best fighting style in the second sea until you're able to get Sharkman Karate, which we will talk about a little bit later. But just make sure you get this one to 400 mastery if possible, if you're using the Buddha fruit, especially because it helps with just your M1s. It's really, really good. But if you do like the other fighting styles, you can buy them or relearn them here. Okay, so once you hit level 1100, you should make your way over to this island over here and the cold area of the island, because you can now participate in raids. Yay! This will help you unlock and awaken your fruit. Now, Once you do this, you can actually do this a little bit earlier before level 1100. I just don't recommend doing it though, because it's just pretty much uncompletable unless you have someone to carry you through it. But you'll need to punch in a code right here, which the code is very, very simple. It is red, blue, green, and blue once again. That will pretty much open a hole in the wall right here. Now, you'll need to do this code every time you change server, which is extremely annoying, but pretty much what you want to do is head up this little ladder, get all the way to the top of the ladder, and you'll see this guy right here, the mysterious scientist. Now, what you need to do is click on this guy and buy any sort of raid that you want from him, the flame ice. Now, whatever fruit you're using, I recommend you buy that raid to go along with it. Now, if you're using the Buddha fruit, you can awaken your Buddha fruit here. The Buddha raid is very hard to do, even at level 1100. Your best chances are to go and have someone help you through it, or ask someone in chat to carry you through it. But as I said, it's extremely difficult, so you can complete it on your own if you want. I did it personally when I was a level 1100. I was able to do the quest on my own. Now, once you do the raid, and once you grab the raid card from this guy, all you have to do is stand in this pod and click on this green button right here. I don't have a microchip, so obviously I can't do the raids. But once you do your raid, you will get something called fragments. Now, as you can see, I have 14,000 fragments. All you have to do is hover over your money, and you can see how many fragments you have. Okay, so Editor Philly here, really quickly. Fragments pretty much allow you to upgrade your abilities from your Devil Fruit into the Awakened version. That's pretty much their only use. They do have a couple other uses outside of that, but it's not really that important for this guide. So just make sure you save up a ton, because some fruits cost a lot to upgrade. Okay, so I highly recommend, if you do have a friend that is able to help you out, get them to help you awaken your fruit, because they do become a lot stronger once they are awakened. But apart from that, what we're going to do is head back and just start questing once again. So we're going to take on the lab subordinate quest, which is over here. These guys spawn over here. Now, there's nothing too noteworthy to worry about. Just don't get too close to them, because they do like to whack you about with the pipes. Now, these guys are easy. Just gather them up and kill them like normal. Alright, so with this quest, the next quest is the Horned Warriors. These guys are at level 1125. Do not fight these guys unless you have the Buddha fruit, because they can stun you if you're an elemental user as well, which is really, really annoying. So just don't fight them unless you have Buddha. Okay, so the Smoke Admiral spawns on the other side of the map, as you can see over here. What you want to do is just head in here, and then you can kill him. Now, this guy does spawn, and he's really easy to beat as well. He's not a difficult boss. The only problem is the arena is really small, so it is kind of annoying. You can drag him out if you want to. That's completely up to you. The only noteworthy thing that this guy does is make it so you can't see your screen for a couple seconds. That's about it. He's really easy to beat. Just fight him whenever he's up for an extra bit of XP. Okay, so on the other side of the map at level 1175, you'll be able to fight these guys over here. Now, these guys are really simple. Just group them all together. You can group the 3 of them here, kill those guys, come over here, and you can group these 2 guys right here, or these 3 guys right here, and kill them as well. Really basic stuff. Just group and kill. The next part is the Lava Pirates. Once again, do not fight these guys unless you have a Buddha fruit. They are just not worth it. This is why I say the Buddha fruit is extremely overpowered and makes leveling way, way faster, just because you can take on almost any quest without any problems at all. So don't fight those guys unless you have a Buddha fruit, and then we can move on to the next area. Alright, so once you've reached the next threshold, which is at level 1250, what you need to do is grab a boat and just drive and follow me. Alright, so once you've made it to the ship, come over to here, this little black door. Okay, so once you've entered this little door, the first quest that you can grab is the ship deckhand people at level 1250. These guys are really easy to farm. They're super close together, so just group them up from room to room and kill them like normal. Very easy stuff. Okay, so once you've reached level 1300, pretty much just walk through over here. I'm sorry about the camera stuff as well, guys. It is really dark in this area, so it's hard to see. But pretty much you just want to grab the next quest over here, and that is the ship stewards. And they're just followed in here. They're really easy to kill. You can just group them up like normal. This shouldn't take you too long, this area, because of how close they are. Just group and kill like normal. Okay, so just like before, don't even worry about the next quest for these guys. Just keep farming these guys down here, because they're really close together, and you don't have to keep going up and downstairs in order to get the quest giver. So just keep farming those guys until you are level 1350. Once you've done that, what you want to do is just go and jump back onto your boat like this, and just follow me. Okay, so hopefully you don't get absolutely destroyed by ships, and you can just fly back to what I was doing before. This time I'm using the light fruit. I should have probably done this from the beginning, but you know, you get the same thing. Pretty much you just want to head over to the big snow castle. Okay, so once you've made it here, what you want to do is take the first quest, which is the Arctic Warriors, and then what you want to do is group every single one of them up together. It's really easy to do this. These guys are really close together. You can just group them like this. There we go. And pretty much what you want to do is you just want to kill them. Okay, so once again, if you are an elemental user, do not fight the next quest. These guys can hit you because they use aura, because that is fun. But if you are a Buddha user, or you have a really strong other fruit that you feel confident in using, then you can skip across to these guys as well and kill them until you reach about level 1400. Okay, so at level 1500, you can fight the Awakened Ice Admiral boss. Now, he spawns up here in his castle. Now, this guy is kind of good to fight if you are a sword user, because he does have a chance to drop a certain key called the Hidden Key, which will allow you to get the Ren Goku sword, which is really, really good. Now, this guy can be kind of annoying to fight because this is kind of an enclosed area and hard to fight him, but if using the Buddha fruit, you should absolutely destroy him. Otherwise, just be careful of his attacks, they do a lot of damage. But if you do kill him and he happens to drop the hidden key, you can walk over to this wall, there should be a chest in here, and you can grab yourself Ren Goku, which is a really, really good sword. Okay, so at level 1425, you'll need to move on to the next area, which is the Skull and Forgotten Island area, which is just over here, so just follow me. Okay, so once you come up here, you just need to grab this quest over here, and you can start fighting these sea soldiers. These guys are really easy to beat. Pretty much they all spawn down here though, so you need to jump down, which is kind of annoying for the quest. But pretty much what you want to do is just gather them up like normal, and just kill them. Really easy. Okay, so at level 1450, you can take on the next quest, which is the Water Fighter guys. Now, you can skip these guys if you do have an elemental fruit, but you actually don't need to. I recommend you don't actually, because they're really close to the quest giver, making it a lot more time efficient than having to go up the mountain and down the mountain every time you want to get a quest, which is really annoying. But just be careful, they do have aura, which means they can hit you with the elemental fruit. Other than that, if you have Buddha fruit, you're all good, just kill them. Okay, and so for the last boss pretty much of the second sea, what you need to do is grab the Tidekeeper. Now, this boss is quite hard to beat. He's probably one of the hardest boss, if not the hardest boss in the second sea. He is very annoying, even for a lower level. Now, the reason he sucks is because his abilities aren't that strong, but his health, he has a lot of health, and he can summon a sea beast randomly behind him, which has like 20k health. Don't fight the sea beast, just fight him. I recommend that you farm him with another player. There are a lot of people that want to kill this guy because he drops something called a water key. Now, that water key can be used for Sharkman Karate. I'll show you that in a second, which means it is really, really good. Okay, so to all the people that are using Buddha in this video, I highly recommend you kill this guy to get the water key, and you have also been leveling up your water kung fu to 400 mastery. Once you've done both those things, what you can do is head up here, and you can go and speak to the NPC that gives you the Sharkman Karate, which is really, really good. Trust me, this is going to be an extremely good fighting style for Buddha. It's probably one of the best, if not the best fighting style for Buddha, because the M1s are just absolutely broken. So once you've gotten the water key, and you've also gotten 400 mastery on water kung fu, you can grab the Sharkman Karate fighting style from this guy right here. Make sure you do that if you have Buddha. Okay, so once you are level 1500, what you can do now is very, very easy, and that is to move on to the third sea. Okay, so Editor Philly here once again. Just want to quickly mention, I forgot to mention this in the actual video, but once you reach level 1500, if you want to move across to the third sea, you actually need to have killed Don Swan before, which means you need to go to Trevor and give him that 1 million berry fruit like we did before. Otherwise, you won't be able to do this quest and you won't be able to enter the third sea. So there are a couple more things in the second sea which I didn't talk about, but they're not really that necessity, and you'll figure them out along the way, so don't worry about those things. Anyway, if you want to move to the third sea, all you have to do is reach level 1500, go back to the Colosseum, and speak to King Redhead right here. He will teleport you across to fight Rip Indra. There'll be a really cool cutscene at the end of it. All you have to do is get Rip Indra down to half HP. and then you will be able to move on to the third sea. So pretty much what will happen at the end of the cutscene, after you've gotten ripped injured down to half HP, you'll spawn back at the cafe and you can run across to the next area, which is over here. Follow me. Okay, so all you have to do is talk to Mr. Captain right here, and you'll be teleported across to the third sea. Nice and easy. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you do want to see the third sea video guide, make sure to comment down below in saying that you want the third sea video guide, because that's the only way I'm going to make it. So I'll see you in the next one.
Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to the third sea guide. Now, if you're here, you've probably watched my first and second sea guide. We're pretty much just going to do the same thing, cover everything you'll ever need to know about the third sea in one single video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the third sea kind of throws you in some deep waters straight away, because the first quest that you have to complete is this one right over here in Port Town, and it is the Pirate Millionaire. Now, these guys are really, really annoying to farm. I highly recommend throughout this entire third sea, you are using the Butterfruit. If you are not using the Butterfruit, you are going to seriously struggle going through the third sea. Because, trust me, these bosses, these NPCs, they are no joke. They have a ton of abilities, and they are hella annoying without the Butterfruit. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the best way to farm these Pirate Millionaires really quickly. So the best way, in my opinion, is to go over to one side and just grab 3 of them up really quickly like this. You can grab 4. I don't recommend it. These guys are really annoying. You'll see that in a second. There you go. Those attacks right there are just really, really annoying. As you can see, they're pushing me back. But, of course, if you have the Butterfruit, this can be made very easy if you just do it and use it. But if you don't have the Butterfruit, I recommend using some sort of ranged attack, keeping in the air as best as you can. And once you reach level 1550, you'll be able to move on to the boss. Don't even worry about doing the second quest here unless you have a Butterfruit. If you have a Butterfruit, you can do this quest. Just go up to the top over here and you can farm them like normal. But if you don't have a Butterfruit, do not fight these guys, trust me. Alright, so once you reach level 1550, you can take on the first boss of the third sea. Now, the bosses in the third sea are very similar to the second sea bosses in the fact that they spawn absolutely nowhere near the NPCs that you're fighting on the island. Usually they are away in their own little space. So this is the first boss, the stone boss right here. I will show you where to find him really quickly. Just follow me. Alright, so here he is. Now, this guy is a pretty solid introduction into the third sea bosses. He isn't that strong, but he does a crazy amount of damage when you are too close to him. So I recommend you are using ranged attacks against this guy, because if you get close, he will do a ton of damage. So just be very, very mindful of that. But apart from that, he's a pretty easy boss, and he's a lot easier than most of the third sea bosses. So just beat him up, and we will move on to the next area. Let's go. Alright, so this is where the guide gets a little bit weird now. So we're about to move on to the next island, which is the Hydra Island. But we're only going to move on if you are using the Butterfruit. If you are not using the Butterfruit, you are not allowed to move on to this next island. Trust me, I'm doing this for your own sake, because if you try to move on to this next island, you are going to struggle, you're going to hate life, and it's not going to be a fun ride. Just continue to farm here, trust me. It is not worth the struggle. However, if you are a Buddha user, you are allowed to move on to the next area because it is a lot easier for you guys. So, without further ado, let's head to the next island. Let's go. Just follow me. Okay, so at level 1575, you'll be able to take on the Dragon Crew Warriors here over at the Amazon Quest Giver. This is the quest right here. Now, this is the quest I recommend only doing if you have the Butterfruit. Otherwise, you should still be on Port Town. Do not come over to this area whatsoever. But pretty much what you want to do with the Butterfruit is just run over to these people right here and hit them. Now, try not to get pushed up into the air. They do have an attack that does push you up into the air. There you go. You can see it right there, which is kind of annoying. It slows down your progress a little bit, but pretty much you just want to beat those guys up until you've reached the next level threshold, which will be very, very soon. These people shouldn't take very long at all, but whatever you do, do not take on this quest. Even if you're a Buddha user, do not fight this quest. And the reason you do not do that quest is because they are all the way up on this mountain over here. They are too far away from the quest giver, and they deal an ungodly amount of damage. to you, even if you're a Buddha user, so just ignore that quest altogether. Okay, so once you've reached level 1625, you can move on to the next quest. Now, where is that next quest? Well, it's very simple. It is all the way up here. You pretty much just got to fly all the way up onto the top of Hydra Island, and you'll see this massive area that's up here hidden away. Now, all you want to do is just follow me. And here's the quest giver. So all you have to do is talk to this person right here and take on the female islander quest. Now, again, you shouldn't really do this quest unless you have the Buddha fruit. Otherwise, you should still be in Port Town. I know that sounds ridiculous because you're so far off your level, but trust me, that's kind of the sacrifice you have to make if you don't have the Buddha fruit. Now, if you're not using Buddha, you can do this quest, but I seriously don't recommend it. But if you're using Buddha like me, what you can do is come over here and you can beat up these female islanders. They spawn all the way up through here. It's a pretty easy run. All you have to do is just turn on your Buddha form and go and slap them up a little bit. Pretty easy stuff. Not very a difficult quest. And then once you reach the next level for the quest, again, these guys are very easy once again. All you have to do is grab the Giant Islander quest at level 1650, and they'll just spawn over here where you can just run across and turn on your Buddha form and beat them up again. Very easy stuff. They're not hard to beat either. And once you've done that, all in one take, all you have to do is head back to the quest giver once again and take on the boss quest, which is the Island Empress, and she will spawn right over here. Now, it's very easy to find her. She just spawns right here. But do be warned, this Island Empress is no joke. She does a lot of damage, she has good range, and she will mess you up if you're not using a Buddha fruit. I have struggled many a times on my Noob to Pro series where I have fought this boss, and she has just absolutely destroyed me. But if you do die, you spawn very close to this area, so it's not really that big of a deal. But just be warned, she does a lot of damage. Okay, so it is time for your next quest. So once you have gotten to level 1700, everyone can do this. Even if you don't have Buddha, you can do this too. Now, if you've gotten to level 1700, what you can do now is head over to the giant tree area over here, which just follow me. Alright, so once you've made it over to this quest giver right here, you'll notice that the Marine Commodores are the guys you can beat right here. Everyone can do this quest. They're super easy to beat these guys. Just know these guys have Haki as well, and they have a very high elemental level. So if you're using a Logia fruit, it won't activate until much later down the track. I noticed that when I was fighting these guys for the very first time with the light fruit. So just be very careful. Of course, if you have Buddha fruit, you can group all these guys up very easily and just give them a bit of a whack. Now, if you're on this island and you reach the next level, which is these guys, the Marine Rear Admirals, do not fight these guys. Just skip them altogether. Honestly, even if you're using Buddha, I don't recommend fighting these guys at all. They're just a waste of time because you have to go all the way around the back of the map, which is super annoying to get back and forth. Just skip those guys altogether and fight these ones instead, even if you're using Buddha. Okay, so it's time for the Kilo Admiral boss. Now, where to find this boss is really, really simple. All you got to do is head all the way up to this area up here in this tree, and there we go. She spawns right here. Now, she's pretty easy to beat. Honestly, she's one of the easier 3rd sea bosses to beat. She has a lot of health, but that's about it. She doesn't do a whole lot of damage, so you should be pretty good with whatever fruit you are using. But once you beat her, you can just go ahead and do the next quest at the next island. Okay, so once you hit level 1775, it is technically time to move on to your next area. But before we do that, I'm going to quickly go over some information for the 3rd sea that you might need to know. Well, you definitely need to know. So just follow me on the boat to the castle in the sea. Okay, so the castle on the sea is a pretty notable area for the 3rd sea. It's directly in the middle of the map, and it's a hotspot for players as well. It's also a safe zone, so you can't be killed here in PvP. But if you come across to the right side, you can find all the martial art teachers as well, which is really, really nice if you need to grab one of your old fighting styles. Now, I highly recommend you are using electric fighting style for the 3rd sea, because you're going to get your hands on a fighting style called Electric Claw today. and that is going to be a very, very good fighting style. So come across to the Mad Scientist, grab it, and try to get it to 400 mastery. Now, if you're still using Sharkman Karate from my second C guide, and you're using the Butterfruit, that's completely fine. It doesn't really make a difference. But if you want a fighting style that is very, very solid in terms of its abilities, I highly recommend you grab the electric fighting style and level it up all the way to 400 mastery, because it's going to be very, very useful. Now, another notable thing is that you can do your raids here as well. If you come across over here, you can speak to this person here, and you can grab a raid microchip, stand on this plate, and click the green button and do your raids. Now, there is a couple more things over here. You can check these guys out over here if you would like. I'm not going to go into them too much because they're just kind of not that important. But I recommend you check out the whole place. There is a little bit of stuff to do around here. Now, there is one other thing that I kind of want to access and I want to talk about right now. Now, if you see on your screen a message pop up at the very top saying pirates are attacking the castle, this is the castle they are talking about. I recommend as soon as you see this message, you come straight to this castle and you defeat the pirates that will spawn around this area around here. Because once you beat them, you get a free fruit, which is really, really cool. So I recommend you do that every single time you see it. That happens every 1 hour and 15 minutes. Just make sure you are doing that. Okay, anyway, it is time to head across to the next island, which also has a bunch of things that are really important to talk about. So let's head there, just follow me. Alright, so here we are at the floating turtle now. The floating turtle is a really, really important spot once again in the third sea, because this area has pretty much the second sea's cafe over here, which is called the Mansion. Now, this is where all the players will gather to trade and things like that. But before we head there, I just want to quickly show you where the NPC is that you can learn Electric Claw fighting style at. He is pretty much all the way over here. Okay, so this is the previous hero. Now, once you get to the previous hero, he will give you the Electric Claw fighting style once you have all the requirements, that being all the fragments, the mastery, and all the money. So once you've got that stuff, you can do a little quest for him and get the Electric Claw fighting style. It's really easy. I'm not going to cover it too much because it's probably one of the easiest fighting styles in the game to grab. It's super, super easy, so I'm not too worried about talking about it. But once you've done that, you can just follow me over to the mansion, which is the main part of the floating turtle island. Alright, so here we are. This is the mansion. Now, this has got all the important stuff on it, just like the Blox Fruit Gacha, the Blox Fruit Dealer. Also has a couple other notable important things as well. But pretty much, it's got all the trade stuff. It's everything you'll ever need. It's pretty much the cafe of the third sea. Super simple stuff. And this is where you're gonna, do most of your business when you're on the floating turtle or when you're in the third sea. So, without further ado, let's get back to leveling. Okay, so let's get back to leveling. At level 1775, you'll be able to take on the Fishman Raiders, which is right here, this quest right here. Now, this guy is found right at the start of the floating turtle, pretty much where you enter in, and you can take on the Fishman Raiders. Now, these guys are really easy to beat. There's really nothing to them that you should really have to worry about. Just group them up like you have been doing before and just kill them. There's nothing to worry about. They're super easy to beat, and then you can move on to the next quest. Okay, so at level 1800, you can take on the Fishman Captain quest, which is right here. Now, unlike a lot of the other quests, you can do this quest as well if you've got any sort of fruit. All you have to do is group these guys up together. Once again, there's really nothing you have to worry about to beat these guys. Just group all of them up together and then kill them like normal. Even if you don't have a Butterfruit, you can do this quest as well. Super, super easy. Then we can move on to the next area. Okay, so once you reach level 1825, you can head across to the next quest, which is the Forest Pirates. So just follow me. Okay, so here we are. All you have to do is take the quest from this guy right here, the Forest Pirates. Now, I recommend you farm these guys until you are level 1900. You can do it with whatever fruit you're using. You don't need a Butterfruit for these guys. And I recommend you just group them up in groups of 2 or 3. Very simple stuff. These guys are pretty easy to beat. But I definitely recommend you do not fight these guys whatsoever. And the reason you don't fight these guys is because they're all the way on top of this mountain. and it just kind of takes a long time to get back and forth between the quest giver, so it's not really worth it. Now, if you want to know where the boss is, you can easily find the boss, the Elephant Captain boss right here, which is just located all the way over here. Now, he's really easy to find, but he is quite a tanky boss. He has a lot of health, so just keep that in mind and make sure to be careful when you are fighting him. But pretty much just farm this guy over here, the boss, and all these guys over here until you're level 1900, and then you'll be able to move across to the next area, which is on the same island. This island has a lot of quests. Okay, so once you've reached level 1900, all you need to do is just follow me. Let's go. This is the next quest giver right here. As you can see, the Jungle Pirate is the next quest you need to take, and these guys will just spawn down here. They're pretty scattered out, which is kind of annoying, but all you need to do is just use a butterfruit or whatever fruit you're using and go and kill them. Group them up in 2s or 3s and just kill them very simply. And you just want to farm those guys until you're able to grab your next quest. Okay, so the next quest that you should be doing is the Musketeers. Now, these guys I do not recommend doing unless you have a butterfruit. But if you do have a butterfruit, you want to know something really, really cool about these guys? Is they're probably one of the best groups of NPCs to farm because they are so close together. You can kill them so quickly and rinse and repeat with a butterfruit that you will just level up like a crazy man. So I highly recommend you do that. And once you've reached a high enough level to get and fight the boss, I recommend you do not fight this boss. Do not fight him. He is probably arguably one of the strongest bosses in the entire game. I will show you where he's located, but I do not recommend you fight him because he is very, very strong. He has his own little domain right here. Do not fight this guy. Trust me, he is way too strong for anyone at this level. Unless you're an absolute madman and you want to test your luck, go for it. But other than that, I don't recommend you fight that guy. Okay, so once you've reached level 1975, you can head across to the next island. So just head back to the dock of the floating turtle, and then you can head across and just follow me. Okay, so now that we are on the haunted island, there is something that I must tell you guys. This island is a little bit of a special one in the fact that it does have a little special thing that allows you to get some double XP codes and also some fragments, money, and some couple other things that are pretty cool as well. So when you kill NPCs on this island, they have a chance to drop a little resource called bones. Now, it's not always guaranteed. You can see I got one there. It's not always guaranteed, but once you have 50 of these bones, you can head across to this graveyard over here, and you can speak with an NPC called the Death King. Now, you need 50 of these bones, and once you speak to him, he will give you a random thing. Now, you're not always guaranteed the same thing, but as you can see, I rolled some money, right? So you can roll like money, fragments, and XP codes as well, which is really, really useful. So just keep in mind when you're killing NPCs on this island and you have 50 bones, come across and give it to this guy right here. Now, he does sell 2 legendary items to you, but I'm not going to talk about those today because they're not very essential for leveling up. So just don't worry about those if you get those. If you get them, you can look them up on another guide if you would like. But pretty simple, just keep an eye out on how many bones you have when you're killing NPCs on this island, because trust me, that is really, really awesome to know that you can get XP codes here. It's very helpful. Okay, so back to farming and leveling up at level 1975. You get to fight these skeletons over at the same graveyard I was talking about before. Now, if you have a butterfruit, these guys are going to be really easy to beat because they're just really grouped up and makes it a lot easier for killing them. Or if you have any fruit that does a lot of AoE damage, like a magma fruit or something like that, these guys are going to be pretty easy to beat. Just group them up, group as many as you can possibly, and just kill them. Just be careful though, when you are grouping them up, it can be kind of annoying because they do actually get stuck on all these little like gravestones and stuff like that, and they can be caught, which is really annoying. So just keep that in mind. But if you're using butterfruit, as I said, it's going to be super, super easy. I have no idea what just did that damage to me. What was that? Okay, anyway, the next quest is at level 2000. Now, this is going to be the living zombie quest. I do not recommend you fight these guys unless you have butterfruit, because trust me, they just use flash step. It's super annoying. I'm sure you guys have fought someone that uses flash step by now. It can be very, very irritating. But this is where they spawn right here. Now, if you do have a butterfruit, they are very easy to beat because, as you can see, there's a lot of them. They're all grouped up nice and easily. They're not that spread apart, so you can kill them very quickly. But again, if you don't have a Butterfruit, I wouldn't recommend fighting these guys at all, as they can be quite a pain. Okay, so once you reach level 2025, you'll be able to take on the next quest, which is the Haunted Castle. Now, this is actually in the castle itself. As you can see, these guys right here are very easy to beat. You shouldn't have to worry about them. Again, if you're using a Butterfruit, I sound like a broken record, but they're very grouped up, very easy to kill. Same with the next quest that is below us as well. Pretty much, you just want to farm the top area until you are level 2075. Now, you can take on the Possessed Mummy quest, but the reason I personally wouldn't is just because they are a little bit far away. They are all the way below, and you have to keep going up and back for the quest, which is really, really annoying. But if you do want to farm lots and lots of bones, definitely farm these guys right here, because they drop 4 to 5 bones per kill. Well, sometimes, right? But they drop a lot of bones. They drop the most bones in the entire area. So I highly recommend you kill these guys if you want to get yourself a ton of bones, ton of fragments, money, and some XP codes as well. That is a good idea if you're doing that. Even if it does delay your leveling experience a little bit, I think that's not a bad idea. But once you've reached level 2075, we'll be able to move on to the very last island of the third sea. And this island sucks because it takes a very long time. But we're going to do it, so let's get through it. Okay, so once you've reached the level I said before, which is 2075, we can head across to the Sea of Treats, which is the next island, so just follow me. Alright, so once you reach the island, all you need to do is just head up over here, and you can take on the Peanut Scout quest from this guy right here. Now, I recommend you just farm these guys. You do not farm the Peanut Presidents. It's just a lot easier to farm the Peanut Scouts if you're using whatever fruit. As you can see, they're located all across the beach, up here as well. It's pretty easy to farm these guys, and I just want you to farm them until you are level 2125. Okay, so once you've reached level 2125, you can move across to the next island. Now, the Sea of Treats is a little bit weird because it is like multiple islands in one, but where I want you to head is literally just across over here in this little island right here, which is not too bad. You can see though, this island is a lot of different islands all put together, which is kind of annoying, but pretty much what you want to do is just take this quest right here, the Ice Cream Chef. And these guys spawn just all around here. They're pretty easy to beat as well if you have a Butterfruit or just any fruit in general. You don't need Butter for this one either. But these guys are really easy to beat, so just farm those guys a ton. Okay, so at level 2150, you'll get your next quest, which is the Ice Cream Commanders. Now, you can take these ones if you do want to. You don't need Butterfruit for these ones either. It's up to you completely. They're not too far away from the quest giver, so I would say they're actually kind of worth it in a way. Definitely farm these guys if you want, but if you just want to keep farming these guys, that's completely fine as well. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it's up to you, as I said. Okay, so the next boss that you will fight, and the last boss of the third sea, will be the Cake Queen. Now, the Cake Queen is an extremely difficult boss to fight, and she spawns all the way up here on this spoon thingo right here. You can get up here pretty easily just by jumping. I'm going to use light though because I'm a cheater. Anyway, there we go. So the Cake Queen is here. You get this small tiny arena to fight her in. This is why I don't like fighting this boss at all. She does a ton of damage, so I don't recommend you fight this boss right away. Just wait until you're max level to fight that boss. Honestly, it's not worth it. Unless you have like a ton of people helping you out, which you probably will though, because if you're in a public server, 90% of the server will probably go to that boss and try to kill her because she's very farmed. But anyway, you just want to keep farming these NPCs down here until you have reached the right level where you can move on to the next area. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit weird. Now, if you are using a Butterfruit, you're going to want to move on to the next island at level 2200. If you are not using a Butterfruit, you're going to want to move on to the next island at level 2250. If you're not using a Butterfruit, just keep farming these guys until you're level 2250, as I said before. And if you're using a Butterfruit, what you want to do is head across to this island just over here. Pretty much what you want to do is just farm the next NPCs because these guys are perfect for the Butterfruit. And pretty much what you want to do is head to this quest giver, get the first quest right here. and just head across over to these guys. Now, these guys are really, really close together, which is perfect for the Butterfruit because you can kill them all very quickly. Now, if you're using a Butterfruit, do not do this quest over here. Do not worry about the second quest right here. Just keep farming until level 2250 at these guys right here. Until you get to level 2250, do not move on to the next quest. Okay, so once you are level 2250, whether or not you're using Butter or not, pretty much what you want to do is head over to the next quest, which is located over here. It shouldn't be too far away. Here it is. There we go. So you just want to take on this quest right here, the Baking Staff quest. And there we go. So you'll be able to kill these guys. Now, these guys are really easy to beat for anyone. So that's why I recommend just waiting until you're level 2250 if you're not using the Butterfruit. Do not fight these guys up here. These guys up here are the head bakers. They have a little ability called Explosion. Haha, you're dead. It's not a fun ability. I'm trying to make him do it. There we go. Right? That does a lot of damage. I have max health and that did half my health. So do not fight those guys. Just ignore them completely. Do not fight them. They're not worth it. Trust me. But pretty much once you have leveled up enough, you'll be able to move on to the last and final island at level 2300. Okay, so I just want to show you guys this really quickly. Now, when I said pirates will attack the castle, I mean pirates will attack the castle. So what I recommend you do is get your Butterfruit out and just start killing these guys that are attacking the castle like this. And once they're all dead, you can get yourself a free fruit. I definitely recommend you do this. It's very easy to solo if you are using a Butterfruit. If you're not using a Butterfruit, this might be a little bit challenging. But other than that, it should be really, really easy. Alright, there we go. So we did it. We completed it. We got a random Blox fruit and we got a magma fruit, which is kind of nice actually. But I've got too many of those, so I have to drop it, unfortunately. But as you can see, you can get some really cool fruits from that if you just do it. Obviously, that's probably one of the best ways to get free fruits in the 3rd sea. So just make sure you are doing it. But without further ado, let's head back to the Candy Cane Island and keep leveling up. Okay, so back to leveling. Once you've reached level 2300, what you can do is just head across to the next island, which is the Chocolate Island. Not this island right there. This one right over here. So pretty much what you want to do is just head across over here. Whatever fruit you're using, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter if you're using Butterfruit or if you're using just a normal fruit, because this island is really easy to farm anyway. So what you want to do is take the Chocolate Warrior or Cocoa Warrior one and just come over here and farm these guys. They're really easy to beat, but pretty much just farm these guys only until you have reached the level requirement for the next island, because these guys are super easy to beat. So I highly recommend just farming these guys until you are level 2400. In my opinion, that is the easiest way to do it. But once you've reached that level, you can head across to the next island. Okay, so once you've reached level 2400, 100 levels using these guys. Now, it's going to take a while to reach 100 levels using on one NPC, but if you're using 2 times XP, it won't take that long. But once you've done it, what you want to do is head across to the next island, which is the Candy Cane Island, located just over here behind the Chocolate Island. Now, there's a very, very simple quest on this island. It's super, super easy. What you want to do is head into the center, grab the Candy Cane quest right here, the Candy Pirate, and just keep farming these guys over and over until you reach level 2425, where you can fight these snow demons, and they will take you all the way to max level. And then congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, you have reached max level inside of Blox Fruits. I hope this video helped you guys out a ton, and I hope you guys are able to reach max level off this video alone, or off all my videos that I've created on every sea. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider to like and subscribe if this video helped you at all. It does help the channel quite a lot, and I will see you guys in the next guide or videos. Let's go.